Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Snakebite. Some fun conversations before this episode, but we'll leave those in the comments section later. We have a lot to be excited about this week for the Snakebite. We have basketball finally back on the men's side. Women's will be back for the next episode, and a whole lot more to cover. Let's roll the intro. And basketball is back, and so is the drama. As the number 19 Florida Southern Moccasin men's basketball team kicked off the year hosting the Small College Basketball Hall of Fame Classic against the reigning national champions and number 1 team in the country, Minnesota State University Mavericks, in an overtime thriller. The first points of the season for the Mocs came thanks to Christian Freierberg's jumper, something Mocs fans will see often this year from the Latvian transfer from the University of Maine. Freierberg is one of the 4 transfers added by the Mocs this year, all of whom got meaningful minutes and contributed down the stretch in this one. Florida Southern showed off their high-powered offense as they continued adding to their lead through the first half, going into half up 43-38. In the second half, the Mavericks came alive in a much more physical battle than the first half, outscoring FSC by 5 in the second, but thanks to timely defense and offensive rebounding from Florida Southern, they forced OT. When overtime came around, Mr. Everyday, Joe Moon IV, showed up big with a huge three-pointer with 3:30 left in OT, but the Mavericks kept it close and remained even at 84 with 80 seconds left until he hit the dagger for the Mocs from 3. Florida Southern then ran away with it in a great team win led by SSC Defensive Player of the Week, Alex Steen's 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 blocks with 0 fouls and a resilient win. And Jacob, the Mocs' second game was a little bit different, had a lot of haymakers against one of the top teams in the country, in my opinion. Point Loma have a ton of returners this year, and they showed their experience.
And Carl, the Sea Lions look like another team we know from the Bay Area, firing away from 3 in the first half. Shooting 44% on 27 attempts, and the game was dictated on the runs by each team as the Mocs were down 2 in a high-scoring first half with 106 total points. In the second half, the game changed with Point Loma attacking the paint and abandoning the 3, shocking the Mocs coming out at half. Florida Southern found themselves down by double digits in the second half because of a 5+ minute scoring drought due to strong defense from Point Loma and just poor offensive creation by Florida Southern. The Mocs pressed late and found themselves fighting back in it with Jaden Booth looking like his old self, hitting huge shots, but because of costly defensive lapses and good late-game free throw shooting by Point Loma, won 90-85 by the end of it. They're putting the number 19 Mocs at 1-1 on the season. They will have some time to regroup before taking on Auburn Montgomery University on Friday at 3:30, a team the Mocs have lost to in their last 2 meetings, losing by 3 last year at home. After Auburn Montgomery, they will also take on Savannah State Saturday at 7:30 and Eckerd on Wednesday, also at 7:30, to start conference play, and all of these games are at home, so make sure to go out and watch.
Women's tennis hosted the FSC Play Day this past weekend to close out their fall season against a handful of opponents, including Eckerd College. Singles play saw success from the usual suspects, with the Mocs battling for 9 wins over the course of play, and Olivia Bryant, Kennedy Brown, and Ellen Axler all earning 2 wins in the competition. In doubles play, the Mocs found success on both days of the competition, with Florida Southern snagging 6 total wins on the second day of doubles play, thanks to the entire roster's participation, with multiple different pairings of players finding success.
The fall season for Florida Southern College's men's tennis team came to a close at the ERAU Invite, hosted by Embry-Riddle. Head coach Rhett Rollison expressed his satisfaction with the team's performance over the last 2 weekends, noting their strong play and depth as they look ahead to the spring season. The Moccasins recorded impressive results, achieving a 20-12 mark in singles and 13-9 in doubles throughout the 3-day tournament. Noteworthy performances came from Garros and Jornet, who both finished with singles matches without a loss, while Hewitt and Turgott dominated in doubles with a perfect 4-0 record. FSC is excited to build on this success as they head into the spring, aiming to enhance their performance from last year's NCAA regional appearance.
And men's soccer struggled at times this year to find goals, but this past week they had goals in them, but it was not enough to strike down the defending SSC regular season champions and the Barry University Buccaneers. 2 goals from Barry put the Mocs behind early on, but the leading goal scorer, Darcy Moffett, responded with force as a brace for him put the Mocs level thanks to goals in the 11th and 45th minute just before halftime. Barry kept on coming out of the half and put themselves up 3 goals to 2 in the 54th minute before Matthew Mayle scored his first goal of the 2024 season to once again square the Mocs level with Barry in the 57th. Unfortunately, the Buccaneers' onslaught would not be stopped as the 4th goal was slotted home in the 67th and the 5th closed things out in the 77th. By the end of the match, the Buccaneers posted 14 total shots, 10 of those making it on target, and even with Lasse Detner standing on his head and producing a 5-save performance, Moffett now stands on 9 goals this season, the 3rd most in the SSC, and by the time you're watching this, their season has wrapped up as the Mocs' final regular season game was during our production time at Eckerd. Be sure to check FSCMocs.com for the final score and stats, and we'll make sure to update you on all of it next week.
The women's soccer team showed out this past weekend, toppling at the same time number 25 Embry-Riddle in Daytona Beach, thanks to Ashley Schimberg and great team defense. Schimberg came out swinging, scoring in the first 10 off of an assist from Allie Prentice, which the Eagles quickly responded to with a goal of their own 20 minutes later. Both teams then headed into half even at 1, but once again the Mocs came out firing with another goal from Schimberg, and she kept it rolling, scoring her 3rd goal of the game for her first career hat trick as a Moc. The Mocs closed out the game with the 3-1 win for their first in-conference win of the season and made history, defeating Embry-Riddle on the road for the first time since 1998. After the historic win, FSC came back down to earth when they took on Barry at home in a night to forget, where the Buccaneers put up 3-0 for Florida Southern, despite the Mocs firing off 15 shots to Barry's 7. Looking at conference standings, the Mocs sit 11th and now only 1 game left in conference play against nationally ranked number 17 Rollins College. The Lady Mocs will need a big win with both Tampa and Eckerd to lose to make the postseason.
Mocs hockey faced off against the University of Tampa this past weekend in a 2-game series. The Mocs couldn't keep up in the first game of the series with the UT Spartans winning 18-3, but they found new life in the second game of the series. In one of the greatest, if not the greatest, bounce-back win in program history, the Mocs found a win in a 3-2 defensive win over UT. Goals came thanks to Michael Wall and Will Marshall, college hockey's 2nd star of the month for October, and with Vincent Simonian showing out in goal, only giving up 2 goals on 33 shots. The Mocs face off against the University of Florida this weekend in a 2-game homestand. Make sure to come out and support the Mocs this weekend at Lakeland Ice Arena.
The Mocs volleyball team split this past weekend with a 3-0 win against Rollins and an 0-3 loss to Embry-Riddle. On Friday night, senior Sandra Sasaki led the sweep with a team best 17 kills. Sasaki has been the engine making the Mocs offense run, but receiving votes, Embry-Riddle slowed down that engine, sweeping the Mocs in 3 sets. On Monday, senior Sandra Sasaki and Kirsten Krause both posted double-doubles, and was not enough, though, to slow down the Lynn Fighting Knights as they defeated the Mocs 3-0. Your Mocs are back in Lakeland this Friday looking for a much-needed win against Palm Beach Atlantic.
Men's swimming took on the defending NCAA Division II national champion University of Tampa Spartans. The Mocs registered 142 points, but it wasn't enough as the Spartans won the meet with 238. The men's medley relay team of Wilson, Barzik, Violon, and Tretyakov were able to get a 3rd-place finish, and Brendan Wilson got the first moccasin win of the events for the Mocs in the 50 back with a time of 22:82. DeRoca finished not far behind, coming in 3rd with a time of 24:21, and Violon finished in 2nd in the 100 fly, just a 2nd off of 1st place. Tretyakov and DeRoca both found the podium, finishing in 2nd and 3rd in the 50 free, and Tretyakov and Erickson continued the podium finishes with a 2nd and 3rd place finish in the 100 back. In the final FSC individual events, Barzik came in 3rd in the 100 breaststroke, and Frezzi finished 3rd in the 400 IM. The Mocs finished the day with a 2nd place finish in the 400 free relay from Violon, Tretyakov, Wilson, and DeRoca. The Mocs return to action November 21st through the 23rd at the IRSC Invite in Fort Pierce, Florida in the coming weeks.
The women's swimming team took on the number 7 University of Tampa Spartans, just missing out on an upset, falling 197-171. The women opened the meet with a 1st-place finish in the 400 medley relay by Paredes, Sykes, Selly, and Sales with a time of 3:55. Olivia Miles kicked off the meet for the Mocs in the 1,000 free with a 3rd-place finish. Ainsley Bennett then took on the first individual event win for the Mocs in the 200 free with a time of 1:55.27. And Zoe Selly found the podium as she finished 2nd in 50 and 100 back. Alexa Paredes dominated with wins in the 50 breaststroke and the 100 breaststroke with times of 30.48 and 1:06.75. Elizabeth Sykes won the 100 fly while Sales and Hunter took second and third in the 50 free. Sykes then found her second win of the day in 26.2 seconds in the 50 fly. Hunter followed up with a win in 100 free with a 53.97 time, and Miles won the 400 IM with Bennett and Bogdanova rounding out the second and third. The final event was the 400 free relay, which was won by a team of Hunter, Weitz, Sykes, and Bennett with a time of 3:35.01. The Mocs will be back in action at the IRSC Invite on November 21st through 23rd in Fort Pierce, Florida.
Florida Southern is hosting the Gulf South Conference Sunshine State Conference crossover for the first time in 5 years, with the Gulf South Conference being represented by the Lee University Flames and Alabama Huntsville Chargers, and the Sunshine State Conference represented by the Rollins College Stars and the hosts, the Florida Southern Moccasins. FC will take on University of Alabama Huntsville Friday at 1 and Lee Saturday at noon. Make sure to show up at the George Jenkins Fieldhouse for great South Region competition on both the men and women's side. And there'll be action with Rollins College taking on both of those teams on the women's side. For the men, we talked about them earlier. Make sure to show up. It'll be a great tournament. It'll be a great first look into what this region will look like. And also, SSC play begins for both basketball teams this Wednesday night at the George Jenkins Fieldhouse against Eckerd. And you know I can't go a show without talking about cross country, Jacob. They're heading up to Huntsville, Alabama right now to take on the South Region. Let's root them on to national qualifier. See you guys next week.